All right. In this video, I want to talk about the spirit of Catholicism. That's why I have this creepy picture right here. This is the third person that I've talked to with this mindset in just the last month. All of them are Catholic. There was one that was telling me that he upholds all the papal bulls, and I showed him a papal bull that was never abrogated, that was put out around 1250 AD, and it said that it justified the torturing of heretics to get a confession out of them and to burn them alive once they confessed. And that's pretty hardcore. So it's not just burning heretics alive, which is insane in itself, but somebody just accused you of being a heretic. They could torture you until you confess that you were, even though you might not be considered a heretic uh, to the standard of Catholicism. But is somebody just accused you, they could torture confession out of you and then burn you alive for it. So it was like the Salem witch trials. It's insane, right? Uh, and then I talked to somebody else who was justifying doing that kind of thing to heretics. Then this guy, Jake V. Folk, this is a public forum, so that's why I don't mind sharing this stuff in a public uh, setting like this in a video. He put this here about a former Protestant pastor, George Swallowell, who was martyred for converting to Catholicism, imprisoned, like recanted, and then when he was let loose, he returned to Catholicism. So they hung him and then chopped off his head, calling him a traitor. And that's a horrible thing. That's very anti-Christian. So that's what I put. I said, uh, what a horrible anti-Christian thing to do to someone. Is he in the Fox's books of martyrs? And I messed that up. So let me fix that here. In the Wow, I'm making a bunch of typos here. All right, let me get back to this. And he says no because he's Catholic. So I ask him, obviously, I put the Fox's Book of Martyrs to counter what he was saying, like, hey, the Catholic Church also did a whole lot of martyring, right? And he said no because he wasn't Catholic. So I asked him, what do you think about the Catholic Church who would do this to reformers? What does he say? It was necessary. And I was like, then you can't complain when the same thing is done to your group. That is hypocritical. Even this person said that's low key messed up. And I was like, that's high key messed up. He says, not really. A Christian martyred by heretics is different than a heretic getting what they deserve. Right? It's insane. Like, he has no problem saying that. But like I said, this is the third Catholic in about a month who has had this same kind of mindset. So I figured I'd make a video about it because it's basically the spirit of Cain. And I'm going to talk about what I mentioned in this comment with these passages here, showing you if you rely on the Bible alone, you're not going to be convinced by a church to do that to somebody, right? Because if you're following Jesus instead of the church, you're going to love your enemies, not burn them alive, right? You want to keep them alive as long as possible, praying that God will reach them so that they may believe the gospel and be saved. Burning them alive destroys that, right? And luckily, there's some other people who are going, hey, that is messed up, right? And I just wanted to add, like, hey, being hanged is a little bit better than being burned alive. They still should not have done something like that. I'm a Bible believing Christian, and I want to be. And I want to be with others who want to be Bible believing Christians. I don't want to be with other people who are forced to believe what I believe. If they don't want to believe what I believe and they want to be part of some other denomination or not believe anything at all, just do whatever, go to a whole different religion, go ahead. I want people who want to be part of this group, part of the group, right? And I think that's where that stream ends. So let's just look at what Jesus had to say. In Matthew chapter 5, at verse 44, he says, "But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you." So the Catholic Church would burn people alive for not even being their enemy because they made copies of the Bible and gave them out to people. They would burn them alive. People who believed in saved by grace through faith, burn them alive. Owning a Bible, burned alive. Right? They're not even enemies. They just believe something different. And Jesus is saying, your enemies, love them. The people who are cursing you, bless them. Those that hate you, do good to them. Those who are actually using you and persecuting you, pray for them. But all you had to do is disagree with the Catholic Church and they would light you up. And whatever group of people hung that Catholic, they weren't following Jesus. That's for sure. Let's look over here in Luke chapter 9 at verse 54. It says, "And when his disciples, James and John, saw this was the Samaritans rejecting Jesus. That's what they saw. They said, Lord, wilt thou that we command fire to come down from heaven and consume them, even as Elias or Elijah did? But he turned and rebuked them and said, Ye know not what manner of spirit ye are of, for the Son of Man is not come to destroy men's lives, but to save them. And they went to another village." So you see here how Jesus is straight up saying not to even burn them alive, right? He goes, you don't know what spirit you are of. I'm here to save people, right? Not to destroy them, okay? And yet the Catholic Church turns and burns people alive for not even rejecting Jesus, for rejecting them. We come over here to Luke chapter 11. And in the Our Father, which Catholics are told to pray, at verse 4 says, "And forgive us our sins, for we also forgive everyone that is indebted to us." So it's basically, if I want to be forgiven, I got to forgive others, right? And I believe that's what it says in the version in Matthew. And, or actually, it might be a different passage. But we see there again about forgiving, like Jesus actually does right here in Luke 23 at verse 34. When Jesus is on the cross, uh, Jesus says, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." And they parted his raiment and cast lots. So even when these people are going against Jesus, torturing him, mocking him, hanging him up on a tree, stealing his stuff, he says, "Forgive them." But here comes the Catholic Church, burn these people alive for believing something different, for having a copy of the scriptures. Does that really sound like Jesus to you? These people deserve to be burned alive? If you believe this, you're psychotic. You're going after this spirit of Cain, right? Where Cain got angry and put Abel to death. That's the spirit behind Catholicism. And a spirit with a lot of these Catholics. I talk to a lot of Catholics that are very anti-Semitic. And once I tell them, hey, I'm a Jew, they got all kinds of things to say about that. And yeah. But anyway, I just wanted to point this out, that it's that same thing from the very beginning, right? We got two different worship services. We got Cain the Catholic and we got Abel the Christian coming up to God. Abel's coming up having faith in the blood of the lamb alone, and he's accepted by God. And Cain is offering up his own fruits of his own labors. And Cain is actually following what God told Adam to do. God told Adam, hey, from the sweat of your brow, go till the ground. So Cain thinks, well, if I do what he says, I'm going to be accepted. He offers up those fruits. He's rejected. He doesn't understand why. He thinks he deserves to be accepted. And Abel comes and tries to reason with him, and then Cain kills him. This is that same spirit that's behind Catholicism. The same spirit that was behind ancient Judaism when Jesus was in town. That's basically the story of Jesus there with Abel. Abel coming to his brother as Jesus came to his brethren, and they rejected him and killed him. It's that same spirit. I could just keep restating that, but I think you get the point. Thanks for watching, and take care.